Good evening and welcome to the first BZA meeting of 2021. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with prayer and pledge. So if you would, please rise.
Father, we thank you for your direction and your hand on us over the past year and into this year. We thank you for the leadership of our town. We thank you for the opportunity to partner with them. We ask for your wisdom as we lead. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, thank you, fellas. Item 3 on our agenda is citizen comments, and none at this time. Is that right?
That's correct.
Excellent. Item number 4 will be the approval in minutes of our last meeting, which was November 19th, 2020. Meeting minutes are in your packet. If there are no changes or additions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Looks like we have one item on new business tonight. Setback variance for Kevin Hicks at 199 Almaville Road. Mitch?
Yeah, this is, as you said, a setback variance for a fence along Almaville Road. The property is located at 199 Almaville Road and has a lot approximately 6.4 acres in size. However, while it is a large parcel, it does not meet the requirements for that of a farm per the zoning ordinance. In the ordinance, a farm is a parcel of land that is 5 or more acres devoted to agricultural use. Being parcel is over 6 acres, it is significantly larger than most other residentially zoned properties here in town limits, with sufficient space to locate the proposed fence. The property is zone R1, low density residential, has a minimum front setback of 35 feet. Applicant started installation of the fence and was stopped by codes shortly after starting when the fence was noticed being installed without proper permitting. Section 7.080 of the Municipal Zoning Ordinance lists general requirements for a zoning variance request. Those requirements and staff findings are as follows. The board shall not grant a variance unless it makes findings based upon evidence presented as it follows. 1. Particular physical surroundings, shape, topographic conditions of the specific property involved that would result in a particular hardship upon the owner as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if the strict application of the ordinance were carried out. Staff finds that 199 Almaville Road is a fairly uniform shape and is relatively flat, which would not affect the location of the proposed fence. Conditions upon which a petition for a variance is based would not be applicable generally to other property within the same district. Staff does find that being this lot is over 6 acres in size, it is larger than most other lots with the same zone. Variance will not authorize activities in a zone district other than those permitted by the ordinance. Fences are allowed by right within the R1 zoning district, but are to adhere to any applicable setbacks of that of the principal structure. Financial returns shall not be considered as a basis for granting the variance. Property owner has not identified financial returns as a reason for this request. The alleged difficulty or hardship has not been created by any person having an interest in the property. The creation and size of the lot was not completed by the applicant. Granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. Staff finds that the front setback variance for a fence has been requested several times over the past couple years, and all of which have been denied due to the lack of hardships present. The variance is the minimum that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure. Staff finds the requested setback variance is not the minimum that will make possible the reasonable use of the structure, as the applicant has a large enough front yard space to locate the fence at the appropriate 35-foot front setback without any issues. The granting of the variance will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the area in which the property is located. Staff finds the variance should not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the area due to the fence location of approximately 49 feet off of the edge of the pavement. Proposed variance will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property, substantially increase the congestion in the public streets, increase danger of fire, endanger public safety, or substantially diminish or impair property values within the area. Staff do not believe if the variance were granted, it would create any of the above effects. Number 10 is not applicable in this case. In conclusion, staff finds this property is approximately 6.4 acres in size, as stated earlier, and larger than most similarly zoned residential properties. The lot is adequate in size for the applicant to move the fence back to the appropriate 35-foot front setback line and still have sufficient space in the front yard while fencing off their driveway. Applicant started installation of the fence without proper permitting procedure, and the mistake was caught before installation of the fence was finished. Had the applicant contacted staff before installation, the location error would have been prevented. There have been similar front setback variance requests for fences presented to the board in previous years, and those requests have been denied due to lack of hardships in similar situations. Couple pictures of the property. The fence was being installed as stated, and this is a picture from across the street looking at what it looks like currently. Close-up picture, roughly standing at the property line. Closer up picture of the fence looking over to the left-hand side, and then once more over to the right side. Hard to tell in this picture, but there is a string kind of draped going over to these little shrubs over here on the side of the property. That is what looks to be the location of the planned fence once it is completed. The applicant did state it'd be approximately 200 feet in length once completed. That's all I got for you.
All right, excellent. Before I open a public hearing, any comments or questions from the board for Kevin? I mean, for Mitch, sorry, you're not Kevin.
Weren't those pictures today?
Yes.
So that's the status of the. fence
Yes,
as it
that is
sits now?
today. This is another picture just from your report, just to blow it up a little bit. The red line represents where the fence is currently located. The blue line is pushed back an additional 4 feet to meet the 35-foot front setback, just for visual purposes of the length of what that fence would be on the property and where it should be located out.
Any others? No? All right, at this time, I'll close the Board of Zoning Appeals and open a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak for or against the request. If you would like to speak for, please come to the microphone, otherwise we'll continue on. All right. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Kevin Dix, 199 Allenville Road.
How are you doing, Kevin?
Oh, good.
So I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I don't know if there's, well, let me just say it this way. There's only a couple of reasons that we can grant a variance. Financial returns can't be a reason. Aesthetics can't necessarily be a reason. It's got to be a hardship that you didn't create, or there has to be some mitigating factor.
Okay.
And the concern that the staff has identified and that I'm seeing is I don't really see a hardship created by the lot of the land or the layout.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have anything to add there, if you got anything that you can give us that tells us that,
Yeah.
why this would create a hardship by leaving it where it's at,
Okay.
then we'd love to hear it. But
Yeah.
at this point, it doesn't look like there is
I
one.
understand, okay. Yeah, so in my opinion, this is still a decorative fence, okay? It's not agricultural, it's not a privacy fence, and in my opinion, it's a pretty darn good looking fence.
I have the same
Now-
fence behind my house,
Okay, yeah.
around my pool, so.
All right. And anyways, moving it back, it's gonna make it look odd. My driveway has a curvature to it. The driveway gate's gonna have to be angled, or the driveway's gonna have to be straightened. So, it's gonna make the driveway look odd. So, that's my appeal. So this is gonna look really odd, and also, I don't understand why the town of Smyrna needs 35 feet when Rutherford County's got 25 feet, and Davidson County has nothing. So you can put a front fence on the lot line in Davidson County, is my understanding. So, those are my two things I'm pleading my case about.
Okay.
That's it.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Hicks from the board? Okay. All right. Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak for or against? No one else in the audience, so we'll close the public hearing and reopen the Board of Zoning Appeals I have a couple of questions for either Jeff or staff. Does the fence being decorative change the requirement?
It's not considered a decorative fence based on the ordinance definition of it.
Okay, what is the definition? of
Decorative fence would be something that, for example, you have a flagpole in your front yard, you're putting a little white picket fence surrounding it. Nothing that's gonna block off or gate off anything.
The definition says a designed open or solid fence or wall that is not erected to enclose, screen, or separate areas.
Okay. And then, either one of you care to comment on why we have 35-foot?
Well, I mean, the simple answer is this is an adjudication, a board that adjudicates and not one that legislates.
Right.
And that is a town council. Kevin could probably comment more of how that came to be, but I can tell you anywhere that you go, for the most part, a county's regulations are always going to usually be less stringent than what a municipality is going to be. A lot of that's due to expansion of roads or safety, right of way, and just some is aesthetics as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, as long as I've been on the council, it's been 35 feet, which is now in my 5th year. So I don't know how it got there. It's been that way for a while. And I'm sure there is very good logic behind it. I can tell you that there's been many times that we've had to purchase additional right-of-way because 35 foot wasn't enough when we widen a road or have to run sewer or do something else. We do that almost monthly. Without getting into specifics in this area, that's pretty much all I can get. I guess for the board, any comments or questions? I just don't see a hardship. There's not an odd, increase in slope or decrease in slope or particularly specific hardship that I can see to grant the 4 feet. And the other piece is we have to be consistent. We've talked about that many times on this board, and we have consistently seen these same type of requests, including a very popular one a year or so ago that almost ended in litigation. So we have been very consistent that there's very few exceptions to this rule unless there is a hardship. And so unless you guys see something or have any other comments, I'm not sure what else we can do.
No, I thought that Jeff's explanation of we're here basically to rule on if the setback is allowable due to a hardship, right, we don't have anything to do with the changing the setbacks. That goes through council, and that's how that sounds. That was a perfect answer on why I believe I'm going to have to move that we deny the variance because of lack of hardship.
All right, we have a motion to deny. Any other comments or questions, or a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of denial, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is denied, sir. Our next item on our agenda is staff comments and/or other business.
I have nothing else.
Nothing else? Anything from the board? If not, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.